spending, and some of it does come from rich billionaires, is demoralizing to the average voter. They think that their vote doesn't count. They think that it's a rigged game. And the more that there's this huge amount of spending, the more that they feel that their vote is devalued. And I think that's really dangerous because I think, as Francesca said, democracy is really fragile.
Floyd?
Well, one thing is that there's not a huge amount of increased spending after the Citizens United case. I mean, that has not been the reality. And to run a national campaign costs vast amounts of money. The two parties get that money and spend it promiscuously, but spend it. They get some of it from very wealthy people. The parties appear to have moved in different directions, actually, as to who gets more money from working class people, who gets more money from people who have more money. But however it works, the answer can't be the suppression of speech. And that's the fundamental, and in my view, that's why we have it as the First Amendment.
And if I could just respond quickly to Chiara's point. I mean, in my opening statement, my point was you have to look at these numbers in perspective. I think she said $100 million was spent on the 2020 elections by corporations in direct Citizens United style spending. And that sounds like a lot of money in isolation, and I had to Google this, but that's 0.6% of the total amount that was spent in that election. That's a drop in the bucket, and that's Floyd's point.
Could I add one point to that? There was also $1 billion of dark money in the 2020 election, and we have no idea where that is from.
Can you define dark money for people not familiar with the term?
Certainly. So dark money is money that is spent in the election. It's usually FEC that does not enforce campaign finance law. So you can pull records where it says, we spent $1 million, and then you turn the next page and you look for donors, and it says 0 donors. Mm-hmm. And it's this weird way that the campaign finance law interacts with our tax law, but it is sort of perfectly legal to spend dark money in elections, millions of dollars at a time.
If I could just respond to that as well on the dark money point. So I used to work at the FEC, and just a few points. So again, $1 billion you cite as being spent in dark money. And again, I go back to my point that that has to be looked at in perspective. $16.4 billion total. So that's a small percentage. And in the 14 years after Citizens United, the percentage of dark money spent on the elections has never exceeded 5% of the total amount spent in that election. In terms of donor disclosure and dark money,